Step aboard, beautiful friends. Step aboard and vibe with the tribe as we step into the past, the present, and the future. As we do each and every week here as we review world events and how they may or may not relate to predictions in prophecy, along with, of course, helping you to feed that prediction addiction with new predictions each and every week. And I got a bunch of new ones for you today. And I say to you, my friends, get ready, because there's lots of rebels that are about to rebel. Lots of rebels rebelling. Radical movements going into place as we predicted over a year ago. Political awakenings unlike anything we've ever seen. And the craziest weather you'd ever possibly imagine. Everything from political upheaval, UFOs actually landing, but where exactly? I'm going to let you know about that today, along with big reveals about space and some alarming information about the space station in the realm of predictions. Really interesting stuff, jam-packed show for you once again this week. June predictions were only just put out on May 31st. I did them a couple days before that. They were premiered on the 30th on my Subscribe channel. And then they appeared on the 31st, May 31st, here on other platforms. So in those June predictions, Spirit warned that I had visions of seeing major ruptures of water line ruptures, water main ruptures, even more importantly. I saw water main ruptures that seemed to be a little odd, off the wall, because, water main ruptures happen all the time, every day, everywhere. We even had them in our little neighborhood here in the community, tapped into a well. So it's not unusual. But in the prediction, Spirit said it would be very unusual. And it would be something that we haven't witnessed in the past. Just days after putting out that prediction, I think it was 2 days after, I think it was June 2nd, the folks in Atlanta, Georgia, witnessed that prediction and the oddness of it coming into fruition. When so many, not just one, but so many ruptures of their water lines all over the city of Atlanta, sending the whole city into a state of emergency and a panic. This was, again, only days after Spirit warned us that it was going to occur. So is this all? Or is there more coming? Of course, there's going to be more coming. And was there something? Because some suspect that there was something nefarious around what happened in Atlanta. We'll touch base and validate all the information for the thew about that today. Last year, I had visions of Mexico City. And if you remember, I saw people fleeing Mexico City in the numbers. Spirit also showed us that there would be major issues with water globally, but also specifically Mexico City. We now know, of course, water is life, and, without water, we don't have life. And now authorities in Mexico City are claiming that the city is indeed about to run out of water in the near future. That's a big city, friends. Over 9 million people just in the city itself, not including the surrounding areas. So could this be true? Is this why my vision relates to people fleeing Mexico City? Or could it be something else? Who else would be concerned about coming water crises? Who else should be concerned? Not would be, should be concerned. We all should be on some level or another. Remember, again, water is life. But without water, there's no longer life, and no longer life in the big cities if they don't have no water. So what happens next? We're going to go into that thoroughly today because it is a very important subject today, the waters. And as I stated in my June predictions, water would become a big focus in many aspects. Not only just, ruptures of water mains, but also United States cybersecurity has just warned over the past few weeks that there are huge risks to our water plants. Is there such an attack coming? And where again? And what else should we see and be aware of when it comes to the way of water? Water shortages, not only just water in those aspects, but water in the aspect of floods, dams busting open, and so forth. I totally forgot to put my damn trash out. Oh well, better luck next week. I totally forgot to put the trash out. Yeah, I totally forgot to put the trash out. So, go fill someone else's trash. As I stated in my June predictions, water was going to become a big focus in many different aspects. Just recently, the U.S. cybersecurity has just warned of huge risks to water plants here in the United States. And again, if it's happening in the U.S., it's going to happen in other places too. So is there such an attack coming? Is it possible? And where are we going to see? What are we going to see when it comes to water? Water shortages, and other aspects of water like floods, dams bursting open, and so forth. I had visions, you recall, and Spirit told us months ago that we would see a lot of dams breaching due to floodwaters, along with crumbling infrastructures as well. Germany, Switzerland, Bulgaria are just a few that are getting slammed with floods, causing a dam in Germany to burst. And Spirit says this is just a sample of the issues that waters can and will bring in the near future, and other issues when it comes to dams. I'm going to talk about that today, and I'm no dam expert, but we're definitely going to tune into that. And another warning towards the Hoover Dam. So that's come up a lot in the past. And if you recall, or if you follow me long enough, when things come up repetitively after a while and they come back up again, it's either because we get more details. Often, and when they come up again, it's because we're approaching on that coming into fruition. So, one must admit, though, I'm one first to admit that I may have been a little bit wrong when it comes to feeling that Trump would kind of walk free from the lawsuits against him and the justice system against him. But obviously, we also got to say it's not quite over yet. As they say, it ain't over till somebody sings. Somebody. It ain't over. So could he actually walk free? And what is next for Donald Trump? The White House, perhaps? Again, if you followed me long enough, I said it back in 2016, but to all our newbies who are now vibing with the tribe, I'm going to update you on that aspect as well, because many people think he's not going to be around. I have no doubt he'll still be around. As much as they're going to try to get rid of him, he'll be here. So no coincidence that only moments after the guilty verdict was called, Biden called the Ukraine and gave them permission to attack Russia from within Russia with American weapons. Friends, you know as well as I do, that is not a very smart decision on the Biden's administration's behalf. Actually, it's an extremely less than smart decision, to say the least. So why all of a sudden, though? Why all of a sudden? After that verdict, it was as if they were literally sitting there watching the telly until that verdict came in, and then they picked up the phone and called. I mean, that's how simultaneously it seemed to be. So again, not a very smart decision. And is it Biden or his handlers? Are they getting desperate for some fact or another? Russia also just sent out a very blunt warning to NATO. And is that all about to escalate? It seems like that it's what it appears to be. Assassinations were also a part of things that Spirit told us going back to the beginning in my 2024 predictions. Spirit told us that we would see a lot in 2024. Like, too many to ignore. And that's already happening. I mean, it started last year, actually, and it's happening even more this year. And indeed, we have more than usual. More than that we should be seeing. Shouldn't be seeing any, really. With many more coming, according to Spirit. In Mexico, a mayoral candidate was just taken out of the race. And I mean, completely taken out to make sure that they can't be in the race anymore, if you know what I mean. So it wasn't their choice. And remember what I said about Mexico. We knew this was coming. We knew it before the election. But what's next for Mexico? What's next for the folks of Mexico and the folks that I have visions fleeing Mexico City? How about that big explosion that just happened at Chase Bank in Ohio? A lot of shadiness revolved around that one. And are you aware that in many states here in the United States, as well, I'm sure other countries are following foot with this, they are now implementing a rain tax. Okay? A rain tax, friends. First of all, we work our butts off. We get taxed. We get taxed on that money again when we buy a home. We get taxed again on that money when we buy groceries. You leave stuff behind for your loved ones and you pass away and you pay taxes on the taxes that you already paid taxes on. just unbelievable, friends. A rain tax. So WTH is that? What is the rain tax exactly? It's already been implemented in the state of Pennsylvania to my friends back east. Are you aware of that? And do they already have, they already, again, tax the heck out of us. So why are folks not fighting about this? This is where I said fights over waters, conflicts over waters. That's a conflict, even though they're not taxing you literally, legitimately on the rain that's falling from the sky. And I'll explain to that a little bit more in detail today. But the whole thing is just a ridiculous way of getting more money out of us. Don't they already get 60% of our money? So in my weather predictions, I believe it was, I saw Hawaii's Mount Kilauea erupting. Not only did it erupted in a spot that it hasn't seen activity since 1974. It's a long time with no activity at that part of the volcano island. At the same time, a volcano in Iceland just violently erupted for the 5th time, and the scene is spectacular to say the least. 5 times, 5th time since December. Another eruption at Mount Abu in Indonesia happened, now causing concerns of cold lava floods. Well, it flows into a flood. Yeah, cold lava floods. I guess when the hot lava hits the water, it must have a reaction, I guess. That's how I would explain it. So all this, big 3 volcanic eruptions, again, 2 of them erupting for another time, but still all just erupted. Seems like things are flaring up. Is earthquake activity about to flare up as well? Because usually they come hand in hand, and we're not seeing the earthquakes as big as we're seeing the volcanoes right now. And Spirit warned us in the past. Remember, I had a vision of 3 huge volcanic eruptions, marking off a timeline on the planet where major events were going to happen. Is this the timeline? Is this what's happening? Again, I'll explain today. Was there a UFO? Well, there's always UFOs caught on film, and you notice there's a lot of them lately with green lights in the sky. Green lights. And then if you don't know what the green light means, I'm going to tell you about that, of course, today. Was the one that was caught on film over Iran real? Because that's an interesting one. Is it a hoax? Remember, a past prediction that Spirit told us that UFOs would be used by humans. Because, of course, our government's already created them in many countries, their own flying vehicles that we're not allowed to know about. And Spirit told us they would be used in conflict. So is someone preparing to an attack by UFO? Perhaps on Iran? Or was it Iran's UFO? Kind of interesting. Know what else is interesting? The new digital ID coming to UK, United Kingdom, and coming to a theater near you too, a neighborhood near you. So all of my visions, all of this that we already talked about, my visions of a future space mission incident or accident, along with, again, several new predictions on this episode, number 120 of Tuesday's Tea Time Predictions Update. And y'all know what time it is?
It's tea time, baby.
Beautiful friends, beautiful souls. I hope that you're having an amazing day today, Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. I am recording this at 2 p.m. Pacific time in Sedona, Arizona. And I really hope that you're having a beautiful day and you had an amazing weekend. If you're new here and you're new to the channel and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with the tribe, make sure you smash that there, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the all so you get notifications, and know that you can catch me every Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday at the latest if there's a glitch. Remember, I'm remote and I have to depend on uploading through Starlink. And I uploaded my June predictions in 1080, and that was an hour long. Do you know how long it took to upload on Starlink? 5 hours. It might have been even more than 5 hours. 5 hours, friends. That's just insane. I want to thank all of you for being here again today, along with all of the supporters who make this free content possible for everybody else. Whether you are a member of the community down below, the Subscribe Star community, and down below you'll find all the links to all my social media, the contributions that come in, and there are many, many people that I thank on weekly basis, monthly basis, bi-weekly basis, and I'm constantly thanking you because I am so grateful. and I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Also, my newsletter for June, I actually forgot all about it, friends. Totally forgot about it. So, which was good because I wouldn't send it out on a Friday anyway because people don't usually read the newsletters. It's a less open rate if I send it out on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I sent it out yesterday instead on Monday. The link's down below. All the numerology, astrology is there for you to refer back to. You can get it all in the video along with my predictions for June as well. Lastly, beware of fraudsters. They do it to anybody that's on social media, has any type of a good following. They copy our profiles, and it mainly happens only on Instagram and Facebook. That's why I try to avoid them as much as possible. I don't read palms, so if you're getting a message saying, send me a picture of your palm, it is baloney, friends. Don't eat the baloney. It's toxic. Don't eat the baloney. It's not me. It's a fraudster in Nigeria, and there's a bunch of them all over the place. So, fraud them. Play along with them. Yeah, here's my palm. Oh, sure, I'll send you the money, but don't send them anything because it's not me, friends. Not me. You can find me. My link's down below on social media or directly at josephtittel.com, Tittel, or spiritmanjt.com. That's easier to remember, spiritmanjt.com, where you can find personal readings, classes, and everything right on my website directly. Let us move on now, friends, to episode number 120
Of Tea Time, baby.
On to our first subject today, which is water. Because water is sacred, water is life, as you know. A client gave me this years ago when Standing Rock Reservation was fighting over the pipeline going across their river, which was a part of the Black Snake prophecy. If you missed my video, it's actually my video that has the most amount of views, somewhere around 500,000. Black Snake Prophecy. It was the first edited video I ever did like that, and I thought I did a pretty darn good job. So did 500,000 other people. Check it out. I'll try to remember to put a link up above, but always go directly to my channel. So we begin today's journey, once again discussing a very important subject, water. Water is life again, friends. I love the water. Over the weekend, I went down to the water, which is kind of out back. You still got to cross the road and go down a cliff. It's quite a hike. Down the little side, not a cliff is like that, but a very steep mountain side there. That's better yet. Going down a very steep mountainside, I sat in the middle on a rock, connecting with the waters, and the waters are just amazing. Water holds consciousness. I was directed back east to do water ceremonies. I haven't done one here yet. Maybe I shall in the near future. Because water has consciousness. And when you are putting the love and the vibration into the water at one point that's flowing down, it's bringing all that love and energy down the river to the oceans. And there's the 13 grandmothers, the indigenous grandmothers who go all around the world praying to the waters. So thank you for that. So water is important. It's a big subject. It was Nostradamus that said and prophesied that water would become worth its weight in gold. Big prophecy. A few years back, Spirit warned that we would witness conflicts over water. And it's kind of getting to that point, friends. So could the crazy weekend that folks experienced in Atlanta, Georgia be an attack on the water infrastructure? Something nefarious behind it, perhaps? It was only days prior in my June predictions I had a vision of major water main ruptures causing major issues. And when you look into the subject, it's not as... It's very common, actually, water main breaks. Very common. We've had them here in our neighborhood. But that was very uncommon what happened in Atlanta, Georgia. That is not normal. And it only, again, happened days after Spirit showed us and I put it out to you all. Atlanta had to call a state of emergency as water mains continue to rupture all over the city. It wasn't just one, friends. It was several ruptures throughout the city. That's what makes it so strange because it cut off all the water for the city. So, one day, all of a sudden, the water goes down and the water grid's down. And then what do? You're kind of stuck. You don't know what to do. And look at all the damage and the mess on their hands since they were experiencing these ruptures, and they weren't the only one. Friends in Philadelphia told me they had a big rupture. Didn't shut down the water in Philly, thankfully, but it certainly shut down the water in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, water is a huge focus and concern of the folks of Atlanta, of course, and it has always been. Our governments and our administrators have filtered out all of our tax money and put it into places that they shouldn't have, instead of putting it into the water like they should have been doing, into the infrastructure, not even just the water, the infrastructure. Like most cities, the pipes are so old, probably still have lead in them, and they're not updated. And they had the money for it. They tax you with the money, but they go and they blow the money on other crap that we don't even approve half the time. Or people don't even pay attention, so they don't need to approve it. So again, look at the damage, look at the mess. Our governments and administrations need to get on top of this. Remember my past prediction about crumbling infrastructures. Crumbling infrastructures in Atlanta is a great example now of a crumbling water infrastructure. Just because it happened now, Atlanta, I hate to tell you, friends in Atlanta, you're kind of screwed like a screwdriver. Screwed like a screwdriver. Yep, because it's just going to happen again. You're going to have more problems in Atlanta. Spirit's telling me this now. More problems for those in Atlanta. You have to tap into the Atlantean energy. The ancient Atlantean energy. And maybe that'll help you. So as I stated in my June predictions, the water main ruptures I was witnessing in my visions is very much exactly what happened in Atlanta. Very unusual, becoming way more common, Spirit says. So that's unusual now, but it won't be so unusual over the next few years. We certainly do not see, we don't see what happened in Atlanta often. We don't see that. The whole city going down like that. And I do not actually feel at all or believe that it necessarily was some kind of nefarious attack on Atlanta. Or even as odd as it was and as odd as the way it played out, I don't feel like that is necessarily the case. We're not even a Mercury retrograde either, and that would be something that you would experience during Mercury retrogrades. I mean, you can experience them all the time, but retrograde would have a huge influence on things breaking down, shutting down. Not necessarily the pipes, but again, like the electronics, because retrograde affects electronics and motorized things. So it's going to be interesting to see what the month of August brings to us. Late July, all the way into early September. That whole window of time is going to be wild, friends. So, again, I don't feel like this was necessarily nefarious. They wouldn't tell us if it was anyway. They wouldn't tell us unless they could blame someone else in order, of course, for them to have an excuse for a counterattack. I don't see this being the case. But hypothetically speaking, and I don't know, but is it possible for a hacker to get into a system, maybe push more pressure through there than what's supposed to go through, causing it to rupture or causing, some kind of system crash? I don't know. Again, I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, if it's possible, then maybe that's possible. But I wasn't getting that. And I have no clue. I'm not no water infrastructure expert at all, of course. I'm just little old me, Spiritman. So did you know that just in the United States alone, there are at least 240,000 water main ruptures per year? That means that there's one every 2 minutes, friends. Every 2 minutes, there's a water main rupturing somewhere in the United States. So, and that's just in the United States. So this shows, too, that the infrastructures are crumbling almost anywhere and everywhere you go in our country. Did you also know that already damaged pipes and leaking pipes that are under the ground causes at least 6 billion gallons of treated water to go wasted every single day? Enough to fill 9,000 swimming pools per day of wasted water leaking out of pipes and crumbling infrastructures. That's sad, friends. Goes to show, and they say, out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see it, they don't worry about it. Just like with highways and stuff, they don't, fix something until somebody loses their life over it, then they finally go fix it or put a red light in or whatever. So I remind you, again, in my June predictions, I had a vision of major sinkholes being caused from water main ruptures. I also had one, if you recall, I saw a water main rupture that literally caused almost like the whole block of a city to sink in. So that didn't happen in Atlanta, thankfully. Not yet, anyway. Because, again, Spirit said, the waters aren't done with Atlanta. Lots more needs to be washed away. So, prayers to those folks. couple predictions mixed in throughout today's show. So indeed, there is more coming in the way of both water main breaks causing havoc, cities calling states of emergencies for reasons like Atlanta, or just for water shortages in general. Florida comes to my mind very strongly, and this could likely be where I see a large sinkhole taking place. Not necessarily related to the water one. By the way, Spirit says many sinkholes, and some appearing like the earth is opening up and swallowing everything in the path. So that'll be interesting. And separately, I see a vision of a forest. And this is really interesting. Interesting vision. It was the forest. And yes, friends, I did cut off my hair. There it is, right there. It's all gone. No more. It feels so bad, much better, I must say. So I saw in this vision a large patch of woods or forest. And then it was like I was standing there witnessing this. I felt this shake, almost like a little earthquake of sorts. I hear crumbling rocks, like falling, like you look around, where's the fallen rocks at? Well, there's no fallen rocks around me, and then all of a sudden smoke just rises up in front of me, blurring out the whole scene. I can't see what's going on because the whole scene becomes smoke, just filled with smoke. As the smoke began to settle, I began to see the ground beneath gave way, swallowing up a whole part of the forest. Trees all down, you can't even see them. It was pretty interesting. And I believe this is somewhere in South America, perhaps Chile. I also see something similar in Africa and in India. The one in my vision, I believe, the one with the trees falling in and all, I believe that is actually connected to an old mine, maybe a salt mine, or I don't know, some kind of old mine collapsing inward. Hopefully there's no animals or people at that spot when it collapses. Sadly, we will begin to see an odd amount of not only water main ruptures and sinkholes, but we will also see more and more focus on underground mining and mining incidents, accidents. And I heard today, when I was preparing this for you today, my beautiful friends, I heard 7 caught inside, one does not get out. 7 caught inside, 1 does not get out. So that would be connected to something with a underground mining operation and a collapse that leaves them stranded or stuck in there. But again, at least we know most of them get out. Hopefully they can all get out and we can shift it. Remember, we can always shift things in a better direction by holding it in the light, friends. Hold it in the light. We can make it change. So instead, we see 7 coming out. 7 trapped, 7 rescued. And so it is. So speaking of water again, big subject today, water shortages. So still on that subject again of water is life and water is sacred. And it wasn't only that long ago that I saw visions of people fleeing Mexico City. And I wasn't clear why. I thought maybe related to a conflict. And if we match that up with other predictions, or a last prediction of coming water shortages, I said, not necessarily in specific places, but it's in major water shortages in a city, being out of water. I didn't know where that city was. And now we can actually easily see that this is Mexico City. And this could be easily the reason why people are going to be fleeing Mexico City in the near future. I would think maybe some are beginning to do so now. So apparently the city is about to run out of water. Now that actually happened in Vegas years ago. Not as close call as what's happening in Mexico City. Mexico City's way worse, but I remember when that happened in Las Vegas and they built another tunnel, wave tunnel, over 100 miles over to California Lake to drain their lakes. And you see all the water lakes in California being drained, and people don't realize a lot of those lake waters are going to Las Vegas, Nevada. Nevada's the desert. There's no water there. They have to truck all that water in. And, way in the future, Vegas will cease to exist the way it does today. It won't be able to. And it might actually all be mostly water. It might even be the beach, according to Spirit. Spirit loves to talk to me while I'm talking to you, friends. So going back to Mexico City, apparently the city's again about to run out of water. That would be just over 9 million folks in the city itself, and I forget, like 20 million altogether in the surrounding areas, desperate for water. What do people do, friends, when they get desperate? Especially when they get desperate for food and water. They're the two things that can make a human turn completely into a different person: hunger and thirst. So this easily could and likely will bring about some type of conflict with and between citizens of nearby towns and cities to Mexico City. So now I know all too well, because personally I know all too well because I had to carry water and haul water and depend on the water resource. And you become more aware. I was always aware of it, but those that aren't become more aware when you have to depend on it and it's not there anymore. We had no well water here for over 2 months. Just only came back on, less than 2 weeks ago. We had water hauled in for our little community to put in the tank, which cost a fortune, but we needed to do something. And therefore, me as a gardener, I couldn't, water my garden, and I'm not watering my gardens. I spent too much time, money, and love on my gardens to not water them. So I had to haul 140 gallons minimum a week to fill up my water features and to water my garden. My garden still wasn't getting as much water as it needed. And now it's really hot. Thankfully, our water is back on again. So I know all too well what that's like. And it's not fun. Kind of like this little boy in the photo, hauling water in Mexico City. The situation is only going to get worse. And now we know clearly why Spirit showed me that vision of people fleeing Mexico City. Now there's more about Mexico. There's more on Mexico City. Do you know what Mexico City and New York City have in common? Think about it. Get that thinking cap on, friends. New York City and Mexico City, what do they have in common? No, not a water shortage, not for New York yet anyway, thankfully. What they have in common is they're both sinking into the ground. Yes, they are sinking, and Spirit shows me an odd vision of cities appearing like ships. I had this vision, and Spirit sometimes is very creative, I must say. And I saw like ships floating on the ocean that were cities on the water, ships in the ship form, and Spirit showed me two different visions. I saw one sinking sideways like the Titanic and going down, and then I saw some going straight down, like a hole in the bottom of the boat, and it just sank straight on down. So we all know that that's going to be the case for New York City eventually in the future. Maybe not all of our futures, but when the earth shifts, it's in prophecies. It's in all the movies too. I just did a video on that, friends. The East Coast tsunami. And it doesn't matter if you live in the East Coast of the United States. If you live anywhere along the Atlantic Ocean in any country that borders the Atlantic Ocean, you're going to want to watch the East Coast tsunami video I did. I'll try to make sure. Remember, put a link up above so that you can catch it or go right directly to my page. So we know that's going to happen eventually. It's inevitable. It's in prophecies and predictions, even from Edgar Cayce. And that's going to include other parts of the East Coast of the United States. Most of Japan, and others according to, again, different prophecies, including Edgar Cayce, Nostradamus, a bunch of them. Edgar Cayce prediction video is the next one I'm working on. I hope to have that available for you by Thursday or Friday at the latest, friends. So Mexico City, perhaps being the city that's sinking much quicker, of course, than New York City is right at the moment, due to the aquifers that are below Mexico City diminishing and emptying out. This is what they believe is causing the heavy buildings and structures to sink even quicker. Their sinking progress, according to Spirit, is going to speed up ever so quickly. And I am willing to bet that my odd amount of sinkholes globally are going to be hitting Mexico City at some point and surrounding areas. And even me seeing a whole city block taken out from a sinkhole, that could very well be Mexico City. Spirit don't tell me. We only can try to interpret to the best of our abilities. And again, as time progresses, sometimes we get more information about past predictions, or as they come closer into fruition, they'll come up again. So check this out. There's a church in Mexico City that actually put a huge pendulum, which is quite beautiful, I thought, into place in the middle of the church to show how much the building is actually sinking sideways. So, pendulum start off, if it was sinking straight down, of course, the pendulum wouldn't move. You could see it sinking sideways because the pendulum moved like many blocks over, which is crazy. Would make me I would not feel safe in those buildings. That would freak me out a little bit, actually. Things falling from above, you can't stop, So what does the future hold for Mexico City? Huge struggles are obvious, of course, and I still see folks fleeing the city, which I would imagine is beginning to happen now, and if not, it soon definitely is going to. I also feel a shift of the nearby tectonic plates. Even the slightest shift in the tectonic plates near Mexico City, even a small earthquake, is bound to cause buildings to crumble and infrastructure because it's already sinking and tilted, which makes it even more easier to crumble or to fall. So let's hold in the light that doesn't happen. But if you go back to my past predictions, I warned Mexico City of a huge future earthquake. And so Spirit didn't say anything about that today. So I'm not thinking that's coming in the near future, but it's coming. So I also see the government making a failed attempt in Mexico to correct the problem with the water, but they're not going to succeed with it. It'll only be a temporary fix. And soon there's going to be conflicts over water rights and access to water throughout Mexico, not just Mexico City. Also, on the subject of Mexico, you may recall that I said that there would likely be someone taken out, like literally taken out before the elections in Mexico, which were like last week. And they were trying to succeed in taking out one person, and they actually did succeed in taking out the mayoral candidate. And now there's a new leader. I believe it's the first female leader of Mexico taking power. But is she just another cartel-backed leader? Because we know that, even here in the United States. So if they wanted to stop the drug epidemic, they could do that instantly. They can claim a real conflict instead of what they did back in the 80s. War on drugs, just say no. What a joke that was. They wanted to stop it. They could stop it very, very quickly. Very quickly. Lock down the country for 30 days. Keep us in the country. Don't let anything in. It'll stop fast. And there's other ways too. Like going directly after the smuggler, not even the smugglers, the manufacturers, the ones that make it. Going in there and taking them out. And I believe that's coming, friends. Not sure about whether she's backed by the cartel. I have no idea. It wouldn't surprise me. They say she's not, but I don't know. I find it hard to believe they took out so many people and tried to take out so many people in Mexico before her leadership. I don't know. Maybe our friends in Mexico will tell us in the comments down below. Did she have any attempts on her life? That's what I'm curious. Did she? That we know of? So I'm not sure about all that, but I do see several conflicts igniting throughout Mexico and a major cartel conflict. And I know they had some over the past year, but no, this is bigger. It feels to me that someone, perhaps and hopefully this new leader in Mexico, is going to go after the cartel with the help of an ally country. And now you would think, okay, yeah, definitely they're going to do it with the United States. But I doubt it. I doubt it, being that, some of our three-letter agencies here are quite plugged in with the cartel and partly responsible for these drug epidemics that are happening globally and in our country. Back to water. Globally, I see protests. In some of my visions, I see people holding signs. And I know they're doing small protests in Mexico City, but this is different. I see people holding signs that say clean water, water is life, fight for our water. And I'm not clear where I am at this big giant protest. I believe I'm in actually many places within the United States, in either Australia, New Zealand, or both Australia and New Zealand, and many other places. Water will become a big focus over the next few years. And Spirit warns to remind y'all of what we were told a few years back. Water would be stolen from lakes. Remember that? Remember Spirit told us that we needed to pay attention very closely to bodies of water, fresh water, such as lakes, and keep an eye out for them suddenly drying up too fast, that it would be too obvious for that water to empty out that fast. There has to be a leak, somewhere. It must have sprung a leak because it's not evaporating. Even if it's 120 degrees, it ain't evaporating that quick. So Spirit told me to remind us of that today. So obviously, I'm going to say someone's tapping into water reserves from below. Obviously, they sprung a leak from below, as I said back in that past prediction. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Water attacks. So what about attacks on water? If water becomes worth its weight in silver, right? Not gold. Nostradamus said water would become worth its weight in gold. So let's just say it became worth its weight in silver, not gold. It's a big difference, right? Let alone leave gold aside for a minute. And if water became worth its weight in silver, it is guaranteed to bring about crime, of course, over water resources and conflicts over water. If it turns to gold, then, the whole world's going to be fighting for water. Let's hope we don't get to that point, which I don't believe we will necessarily get to that point. I do believe, however, that we will get to a point, and this might be what Nostradamus was saying in his prediction. Water would become worth its weight in gold, meaning not that it costs that much, but meaning that, humans cherish gold. So to the star people, cherish gold. It is like golden, right? Everything's golden. We're going into the golden age, right? So what do you mean water is golden? Meaning that water reaches the higher vibration like the rest of us, and that's what I believe will happen. Remember, when we head into the new earth, and we're not going to leave this earth. It's the same earth. It's the same place. It's just a different vibration. When we get into that new vibration, the golden age, it would make it sense that water would also be golden. So that's how I'm going to take it. And I'm going to interpret it that water will become worth its weight in silver. It'll become golden when we cherish it, take care of it, and love it, right? Because people cherish, love, and take care of their gold. Not even as much as they do their silver, the gold. So that's how I would take the prediction of Nostradamus, actually. Never really thought about it till now. But definitely it's going to become worth its weight in silver. And of course, this is going to bring about conflicts. It seems that the first thing, when dark, evil militaries want to go after some other land or territory, what's the first thing they go after? Immediately, they take out the water resources, the power resources, and any other ability to counterattack. We were recently just told that there have been many attempted hack attacks on water infrastructure throughout the United States. The frequency and severity of their attacks have reached a point where the EPA says more action is critical. At risk is our clean and safe drinking water in the United States, a critical lifeline, of course. Over 70% of the water utilities inspected last year did not meet safety standards to prevent breaches. Some are still using default passwords and ex-employees have access. A Chinese-backed hacking group has already compromised some water systems in the United States, I believe Texas. The FBI is not telling us a whole lot. They never do, as usual. Earlier this year, we were told Russia hacked into a group of Russian hackers hacked into Texas, actually, while an Iranian hack attack hit the water system in Pennsylvania. So it seems to me, correct me if you think I'm wrong, I'm sure you will, but it seems to me that they're practicing. Practice makes perfect. The hackers, they're like kind of in training, trying to come up with a plan. Okay, this is how we get this system. All right, succeed. Put that down in our notes. This is how we get to this system. And, they said that a year ago, 70% were failed inspection. I bet you I'd probably be 69% now. Maybe 1% of that changed. That's not good. And sadly, Spirit says it's going to take a major hack attack on a city and statewide panic before they actually take serious actions to protect our country and your country too. So this is why these things have to happen, friends. And it's not gloom and doom. It may appear like it at first, but what comes from this is greatness. When the water becomes a huge focus, people start to pay attention, feed the consciousness of the water with good vibes and love. We make changes that are good for everybody and safe for everybody. Unfortunately, a shit show has to happen first. It has to, in order like what happened in Atlanta. I guarantee Atlanta's going to be taking some precautions. If they don't, they're going to have a bigger mess in their hands, and those folks will be out of water for days, maybe even weeks. So hopefully this is the wake-up calls, friends. These are the wake-up calls. So I have a vision of 2, perhaps 3 males speaking what I believe was Arabic. I didn't really understand, but it sounded like something Middle Eastern. And I saw them in my vision cutting through a fence to a water plant in an attempt to pour something toxic into the water. I didn't see them pour it, but I saw them attempting to. So I truly hope, and I actually do feel that they will be apprehended, but let's hope that they're apprehended before they get to the water's edge, which I believe they will. And that'll be, again, another big wake-up call for the safety of our water infrastructure and how easy it is for someone to go mess with it or manipulate it. Also, I believe it was either in my June predictions or one of my May Tea Time episodes that I had a vision of kids playing. You might recall this. I saw a vision of kids playing in the city on a hot, terribly hot day. And the fountains that gush out of the ground. They were playing in the fountains, gushing out of the ground, having a good old time. I saw the waters shooting up in the air, and then suddenly they just stopped. They went dry. I even saw the little kids looking down the hole saying, "Where's the water, mama? Where's the water?" Hopefully they don't turn it on while your little cute little face is there. But no, it's not going to turn on because it all of a sudden shuts down. So the little ones look around confused, sad that their water stopped. So being as I see this as a vision, I would expect, as visions do, that there would be some type of video, like my vision of the bridge collapsing. And then when it happened in Ohio, it was exactly what, or Maryland, it was exactly what I saw in my vision. So I would expect this to be something that we would see like on the telly, where all of a sudden, kids are playing in the water and the water stops. I believe that I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. But I also feel that I'm in several places with similar visions, but not that vision. That vision, I believe, is Vegas. But again, don't quote me on the place, but it kind of reminded me of Vegas a lot, with the big fountains shooting out of the water and all. And it was a city. Whatever it was a big city. But I feel, again, this is going to repeat somewhere in Europe. And I'm not clear where I am in Europe, perhaps the United Kingdom or France. I'd look for this around late July, maybe August. Probably more likely, again, late July, August, when we are in that next energy shift and retrograde cycle. And I would imagine that this is going to be due to some type of a cyber attack. And this is all the info I have right now. But as you know, and if you don't, I'll tell you now, that I often get more information as time progresses. So water breaches and dam breaks. Because being that water is becoming a major focus due to several astrological factors, actually, and a couple other factors, and even in our vibration that we're in this month of July, but especially when we get to August again, when we're in that 7 vibration, that'll be really interesting. Waters wash away things. The 7 changes our beliefs, the way we look at things. That'll be August. But even leading up to that, even this month with astrological influences that we got in place, it's going to bring about more big water events. That's why I put it in my June predictions, because of the astrological alignments. I knew that was going to happen, but then Spirit showed me the vision of the water main breaks. So this is going to affect things and put our focus on water events, floods, dam breaches, and even still focus on bridges. Remember, bridges help us get to the other side, friends. Bridges are very symbolic of crossing the waters to the other side. So, and I have bridge predictions in past. I didn't get anything on that today other than the focus on water. I would imagine, too, that we'll even see a bridge heavily wiped out because of high waters. A big bridge, too. So water is, again, washing things away. Spirit told us earlier this year that we would see many dams beginning to crack, and I predicted several last year, but Spirit said we would see more and more this year. We would see dams begin to crack and even breach due to several factors, mainly due to high waters, but also crumbling, neglected infrastructure. I had several visions of dams bursting open, and then this just occurred over in Germany. And look at the floods that they are currently getting over there in Switzerland, Bulgaria, Germany. I mean, their roads are turning into raging rivers. And again, there's one dam that burst in Germany, and I feel that there's 2 more dams that will burst in the surrounding areas by end of the summer as well. Hopefully the one that just burst will help them to, focus more on the infrastructure like they should be doing. Spirit showed me today, too, the Hoover Dam. And, if you follow me long enough, I've made predictions revolved around the Hoover Dam in the past. I had a vision in the past where I saw fire coming from the Hoover Dam, and that did happen. There was a transformer that exploded. What was that, 2020? Summer of 2020, I think it was. Because people thought it was an attack or some sort. But that was in my predictions, and that came true. But my fear, as I always told you, is I always had this strong feeling that whoever, call them what you want. The enlightened ones, as they like to call themselves, the illuminated ones, the Freemasons, or what have you, that Freemasonry symbolism is all over the Hoover Dam, friends. All over it. And maybe I should really do a video on that. I was always on my notes, but I never did that one. I did just do the East Coast Tsunami video again, though. So I always felt that there's a plan, even when they built it, that they built it not to stay, that they built it to stay to a specific day. I don't know what that day is. But the Hoover Dam popped up in front of me, and I don't feel like it's going to get washed away yet soon. In the future, maybe even between now and 2030, especially when there's conflicts over water, and people want to free up the dam because they feel like they're not getting the water. But that's not what I was getting today with the dam, or yesterday when I was writing this. Past prediction, again, with the fire, I feel like something's happening, like there's something happening at the Hoover Dam. Something that causes them to shut it down temporarily. It almost feels like somebody going cray-cray, with a weapon or something. Spirit says multiple events are going to happen at the Hoover Dam. The heat's going to go to someone's head. Yeah, it's really hot there, no doubt about it. So yeah, somebody going cray-cray, and I don't know if that's what shuts it down, but I see something else happening that shuts it down, including also a severe accident that's caused by either a tractor trailer, but I think it's actually a RV. Causes major jam and major accident right on over there. So that affects it. So Hoover Dam stuff there, friends. Hoover Dam. Let's move on to the guilty verdict. You are guilty. But is he guilty? Everybody's guilty in some form or another. So one must admit if they were wrong, and I might not have been wrong yet, but I did say that I thought and truly felt there was going to be a mistrial or something was going to happen and he was going to walk free. But it's really not over, friends. There's going to be appeals, and it's not over yet. But this judge has got it for him. Remember, this judge also is a donor to the JB, elections, and his daughter works for the JB administration. So yeah, I mean, this thing is just, the whole thing's ridiculous, and everybody knows it, whether you like the person or not. And it's interesting, during the Trump's jury, if you didn't notice, well, two things. First of all, you don't see the Trumpers, or whatever, what do they call them? The radicals, MAGA radicals, burning down cities now, do you? Interesting, right? If that was JB and he just got a guilty verdict, they'd be burning down cities right now. I guarantee you that would be happening. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Not only that, what was also interesting is, the OJ trial was a big focus of the telly. People all over the world were glued to their tellies, to television. But this one wasn't televised. First president to ever be, convicted of something and pulled into court. But they're not going to put it on video. We can watch the OJ trial, but not this. And this is so mild, it's more like a misdemeanor. It's very fascinating to me the way these things are working out and playing out. And obviously, again, it's not over yet. So you could say I'm wrong for now, but I don't think I'm wrong at all. Because I do believe, without a doubt. Now, it's funny. I picked a couple cards. You know what the first card I picked? Justice. And we always have to look at it twice. We have to look at it first, in the way I do it, in the reversed mode. Being it's the first card, we always look at it, the reverse mode, as how things are now. And what does the justice reverse mean? Unfairness. Unfairness, false accusations, beware bad business partners or untrue friends. that definitely all just happened. Wasn't he friends with, I don't follow it all. Friends, I really don't care. But who was it that testified? They were friends. His ex-lawyer or whatever. Who cares? But yeah, I mean, they were friends. So that definitely plays out. And I got the same card for him the last time I did a reading on this last year, the Justice card, and showed the same exact thing. Justice will prevail in his favor, that there will be justice and a proper balance of things. So definitely he'll likely pay some money. He's already probably paid millions to go through this process. But it does show self-satisfaction and things will be satisfying for him. But he has to be aware of his excessive pleasures and expect a lot of delays and a lot of things being pushed. Now, isn't it also interesting that they're doing this trial on 7/11? What do they call it? The conviction or whatever, the sentencing. 7/11, friends. The 11 day. Y'all know about the 11 day, the 11th and 29th. That's what really was alarming to me, making me think, oh, they're going to try to throw him in jail. That judge is going to try his best. So that's when people will see, because they want Trump supporters to go crazy. They want to make it look like you're a radical. That's their goal. That's what they tell you on the news all the time. You don't see that happening right now, though. It's very fascinating, isn't it? Very fascinating. It doesn't matter who you love or who you support. I don't love or support any of them personally, but it also shows 3 strong women around him that are helping him bring resolutions and healing. I would imagine one would be his wife and his daughter. I don't know who the third one would be. Also, I feel like he's in his 1 year, Trump. New beginnings, new starts, new creations. So it makes sense that he's going to win the election. And if he didn't, which they're still trying to pull, I told you, don't be surprised at all that the elections don't take place till January 2025. I said that back last year, and I still have that feeling. Look at what they're doing with the whole Russia thing. Isn't it kind of interesting that only minutes after that guilty verdict was done, the White House announced that it was okay for Ukraine to go into Russia with American weapons. The one thing that we're supposed to be avoiding the whole time, right? And then Putin just put out a big warning to NATO. Remember what I said in the past about this conflict before it ends, that there would be other countries that would get involved, Poland being one of them. So, and then NATO. I see Putin making a very strategic, very, very strategic move, like a chess move against NATO. And that's how Spirit shows it to me right now. They're making a big chess move, taking some of their biggest chess pieces. Like the biggest chess pieces. Like, moving and taking 6 pieces off their board. Like kind of like that. I'm not a chess player, so I don't know how it works. Other than the vision that Spirit just gave me, which is interesting. Going back to DT, interesting, the cards I pulled out for him also showed his 2 of his boys, probably all 3. But it also shows that somebody else is coming into his circle. Somebody else positive is coming into his circle to offer him help and assistance in his goals. Somebody that's good, trustworthy. But here's the other 2 things. Again, he is in his 1 year. And I believe, without a doubt, he's going to have major issues when it comes to his health, especially in the month of August. August is Trump's 9 vibration, endings, death of cycles, getting rid of, letting go of. So Trump should have some big ending happening. And people might not believe it, but I would not at all be surprised to see him or his wife filing for divorce a few years down the line. That's very, very potentially possible. And if it's not him, then one of his kids, because he's close to his kids, filing for divorce in the near future. That would be more near future if it was one of his kids. If it was him, it'd be within the next 2 years. But I see something happening during the summer months that's really putting pressure on his health and such. And the universe is giving him signs, especially in July, to take it easy, take time to rest. If he doesn't heed that advice, he will end up with issues with his health come especially October. So October, that's his 2 vibration. That has nothing to do with health. But December, the end of the year, would have a lot to do with his health because that would be his 4 vibration. But again, the cards that I picked out showed the month of October, around that time period, that he would have, some type of procedure or surgical procedure or something done that he would benefit from on a temporary level. If he doesn't heed the advice of the doctors, then it'll only be temporary. He also, there's going to be the points where he's so overwhelmed that he almost wants to give up, but he's so stubborn in the fact that he's on a mission, he won't give up. That ain't going to happen, but he's going to feel it. He's going to be overwhelmed over the next 4 months when it comes to emotions, and he feels like he might feel a little ineffective at some points in times. He's got to watch his immaturity, but it also shows that he has this very strong desire, this very strong determination to kick butt and get things done. And that desire is going to overwhelm him. And even it's almost like he's getting hit with a bolt of lightning that has desire written on it, like giving him that extra boost of energy. So again, I feel like I said all along from the very beginning, that some way or another, this will all be a thing of the past. He might have to pay a fine. Now look at Hillary Clinton had to pay $8 grand when she screamed Russian collusion. They didn't put her in jail. Just saying. But I'll tell you what, remember my visions of mass arrests, people being arrested, including celebrities and even politicians? Well, we've seen that. Look at the Trump arrest. That was a big celebrity politician arrest. It was huge. But I saw many major arrests, and I saw that many years ago. That Spirit told us that was going to happen in the future. And I might have said that as far back as 5 years ago. And some things take longer, or sometimes I tap into a further away timeline. And I believe that's coming. Definitely between now and 2030, but maybe actually next year, 2025. 2025 is a 9 vibration for all of us, the planet Earth. That's endings, death of cycles, get rid of, let go of. And I could see major arrests and all taking place next year. It's going to be interesting. Which is all the more reason that my 2016 prediction that Trump would serve 2 terms is going to be fulfilled. Also in that same prediction, as a reminder, Spirit said he would pass away in the 3rd year of his 2nd term. So let's hope he picks, if he wins, somebody that's a good vice president. There's a lot going on. And it's going to take more than 4 years for somebody to get this country back to where it needs to be. We're going to need somebody that's determined and will do so with 2 terms back to back. And that's going to happen. That's not going to happen until we start to ascend more into a higher vibration. And as we approach 2030. Like I said, 2032, everything's completely different. In an amazing way, friends. In amazing ways. Remember that. Amazing ways. And no matter who gets in as the president of the next president of the United States, whatever comes in, it's going to still bring about so much change and so much truth that needs to come to the surface. So say they fixed it, or even if they didn't, and say JB won again, even though I don't think he's going to be around much longer. But let's just say that was a scenario. What would happen from that in this time and age and with the coming ascension codes is that it will bring the whole election process under the microscope. When it's under the microscope, we can correct a system that's been corrupted a long time ago. So these things need to happen in order for us to fix the broken systems. And many systems have to break or completely collapse in order for us to realize that there was a problem. That's where we're heading. Nothing to fear, something to embrace and be excited about on one aspect. Did you also see that during Trump's jury, when they were in there, collaborating with the jury, the producer of The Apprentice now accuses that he suddenly came across video or whatever of Trump using the N-word. So I don't know how true that is, but I read about that, and Spirit just reminded me that, remember what Spirit said a while back, or last year I think it was, that artificial intelligence would be used to lie and fake the people. Just saying. Not that it's related, but Spirit reminded me of that. Remember that. We're in that time where AI is doing that, and they're doing that. They can make it look like you, make it look like you said something you never did. We have to take everything with a grain of salt, friends. Use your intuition. Tap into your own heart center. And you'll know exactly what's right and what's wrong. And again, no coincidence that Biden gave them permission. So the Ukraine and NATO. And it's going to escalate, Spirit says. So I'm not going to go any further than that because there's a lot of past predictions I made about that escalating. Even though I still feel like it's still coming to an end. If there was a halfway point, we're more like at the 3/4 point with that conflict over there. due to the current circumstances, with Biden giving them permission and all that, that's going to be the bad point. Where now it was almost over, this conflict, and now it's not going to be almost over because they want it to continue so they can keep funding the military complex. Unbelievable, friends. You know what's unbelievable, too? You're unbelievable. Unbelievably amazing. And I just want to take a moment to ask you to please do me a favor, friends, because it takes a lot of time and energy and love to put all this together for you. Please show your love and click that little thumbs up button. Smash that baby for me, please. Smash that. Helps get this out to other people. Because, you know, this channel should have way more followers than it does. And I'm working on that. I'm working with some other people. Figure out why it is like it is. Because it shouldn't be. And you all know it. You're the ones that pointed it out in the comments. So weather. Volcanic eruptions. Because in my weather predictions, I believe it was, I saw Hawaii's Mount Kilauea erupting. Not only did it just erupt, it erupted in a spot that has not seen activity since 1974. This eruption, as you see, is a rather remote area of the island, out of harm of humans, thankfully. But Kilauea just is getting started, according to Spirit. Look out for the time period of August and September. I also see that there's going to be multiple eruptions within the Hawaiian Islands. So I know there's a lot of volcanoes there, but Spirit showed me multiple eruptions in the Hawaiian Islands. One coastline around the islands is going to be evacuated due to fears of large waves and other dangers from the volcano across the waters. So it won't be where they're at, it'll be across the waters, but they have to get away from the water where they're at. If that makes any sense. And I saw one volcanic eruption that's going to ignite a major wildfire. But this isn't, I don't believe, Hawaii, though. So I don't know where that one is. I'm thinking likely somewhere in South America, maybe Brazil. Not sure. I'm pulled south. So at the same time, a volcano in Iceland once again erupted violently this time for the 5th time since December, and the site is absolutely stunning and beautiful. Gorgeous, actually. Absolutely amazing. And they're saying, you know, that this is a violent eruption that it did this time. Remember, Spirit told us that that would happen again in Iceland, but Spirit also told us that there would be another volcanic eruption from Iceland on a different volcano. I don't believe we saw that yet. If I just said it, again, it's Spirit's reminder. Interesting, because there's all these things happening. And we also have the eruption at Mount Abu in Indonesia, which erupted last month, but now it erupted again, causing concerns of cold lava floods. Which, again, I'm not sure. I didn't look up cold lava floods. I mean, I would think common sense is the water. Hot lava goes into the cold water and it causes floods or waves or little tsunami waves. That would be my guess. But whatever it is, they're warning people. So is earthquake activity about to flare up again? Spirit warns. If you remember, I had a vision. Spirit said 3 huge volcanic eruptions would be symbolic of major events igniting all over the planet. Events that could be political, economic, but also weather related. So we'll have to keep a watch on the weather over the next few days. But I don't necessarily feel like these are the 3 yet. I don't necessarily feel like they're the 3. If I rewind my mind, rewind your mind, friends. Rewind your mind. If I rewind my mind, I believe I had a vision of 2 erupting close together and miles away, a 3rd one in the distance. So I don't believe we're quite there yet, to be honest with you. With that symbolic thing that Spirit said, 3 major volcanic eruptions will be symbolic and unleash world events. So I actually strongly get pulled to the timeline of July through October. That's when I believe that's going to happen. So we'll have to keep our eyes on it. And it could actually be Mount Etna could be one of those 3. Because it just popped in my brain. And when things pop in your brain, you got to pay attention to that. That's the spirits, friends. Pay attention to those voices in your head because it's not always you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another weather prediction video, hopefully probably next week. Because I'm working on a couple other things this week. And I said this last year, but I never did. I am going to do the pendulum prophecies, where I go live and we use not even the pendulum, the dowsing rod, both the pendulum and the dowsing rod to ask questions just to see what we get. It'll be fun. We'll do that live. I might even do that live this week. I just got to dig out my dowsing rods. So, but I am going to do a weather prediction video and map scrying. And if you're new here, map scrying is kind of like scrying is the technique of gazing into a black mirror or a crystal ball. I do that with a map. So I want to do that with you again. So we'll do that. I'll work on that next week and hopefully maybe have it out by next week. New weather predictions. Because many of what I said in my last weather prediction video are happening, but you got to go back to that weather prediction video if you missed it. Because I talked about all the hurricanes and tropical storms by name and which ones I felt would be the strongest ones to look out for. We just stepped into hurricane season, friends. Spirit's like, it's going to be a doozy. That's my words. Spirits steal my words, friends. So, friends, we must remember, more than anything, that all of these events, everything that's happening that Mother Earth is going to unleash over the next 5 to 6 years is irreversible. We can't change that because it's spoken about in all cultures in prophecy by the indigenous elders. It's a natural process of Earth. Some say it happens every 3,000 years. Some say it happens every 500 years. The shamans in South America say every 500 years. So it depends on what you believe. But what I know is happening is it's coming up soon. We're in it, actually. It's not even coming up. We're in that time zone of the Earth shifting. So therefore, we should stay happy and healthy, of course. Stay healthy because you don't want to wait until you're sick to decide to become healthy. Stay healthy so you don't get sick. Be prepared for any potential crisis. If we're prepared, don't be scared, be prepared, as we say here. Don't be scared, be prepared. But prepare for any potential crisis, for we will all personally be affected. All of us, in some form or another, we are all going to be affected by what's coming with the Earth shift events. It's going to affect us in our lives personally. Even these energies are going to affect our health, even our mental health, relationships, everything. It's going to affect all of us in all different kinds of ways. So again, be healthy. Be prepared for any kind of crisis. Don't wait for a crisis to hit before you realize, oh, shoot, I should have prepared for this ahead of time. Like the water thing. Make sure you always have enough water stored away. Just always. And just rotate it all the time. Do not wait for that crisis to come, friends. We have to align our lives, our soul, and ourselves to what we want to become in the future and who we want to become in the future. Very, very important. The future, and meaning the new Earth. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to become before we get to that new Earth? Ask yourself that. Who do I want to be and become? Because you can't be on the same pattern as our ancestors and everyone else. We have to do things differently, both spiritually, physically, and our way of thinking and what we believe as well. Otherwise, you're going to sink like a ship, like the Titanic, along with your ancestry, instead of moving into this amazing new dimension, the future Earth. So it's up to you. We all have to do the work on ourselves, friends. It's the only way. Face your emotions, being open to the amazing breakthroughs, and knowing that you too can, be here to witness these amazing things, this amazing time, this amazing shift. Even though some people like to go right into the fear. Oh my God, the earth's shaking. But it's shaking for good reason. It's shaking to wake you up, baby. Wake you up. In other news, did you see this video here of this UFO allegedly caught on film over Iran? Is it real? Is it a hoax? I mean, you kind of check it out. Look at the green lights. There's a few different clips, and here's the interesting thing is there's clips from different angles. So from different people in different parts of Iran when this happened, over Tehran actually to be exact, is where this occurred. And look at the green lights and how, some people will say it's CGI. But again, we had 3 different camera angles from 3 different parts of the city. So that's the one thing we have to consider. And the green lights, it's kind of odd. But is it odd? Because if you watch Mr. MB333, who does sky stuff, awesome stuff, and I don't watch stuff often, but I just noticed a video this morning, he was showing all these green lights being shown up in the skies. And then we have this one from Iran with the green, except it's more close up. We see it nice and bright and closely. That's what makes people think it's fake, because people have a fear of believing that exists. And I would say that one in Iran, if it's real, is not one from an alien planet. If anything, it's probably one owned by Iran or maybe even the United States. Past predictions going back 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, I'd say. And some things take exactly about 3 years to happen, so it's coming, where we're going to see conflicts and UFOs being used in conflicts. And of course, they're going to throw out that narrative that, oh, the aliens are attacking or the aliens did it, and it's actually not going to be them. So what happened over Iran, I feel like, is connected directly to Iran, so they must have some kind of technology with that as well. But what I found interesting is the whole green light to the space galactic people. Green is for peace. Peace. All we all saying, give peace a chance. So are they trying to tell us that we come in peace? The spots that MP333 caught, yeah, probably. The one in Iran, I don't know. I want to know what you think down below, but I feel like that was very much man done. And, we're going to see this wild. Not only are we seeing more and more of the ones created by our governments, but we're seeing more and more of the Galactic Federation flying on in, friends. Flying on in. They're surrounding our planet because they're so excited to witness what's going to happen. Because in accordance to what I've been told by the spirits, is this has never happened in the universe ever. For a planet and a society to shift the way we're about to. And the events that are going to take place in the process. That's why many of us, probably all of us, wanted to be here so bad. I want to be there for that. So, and then there's going to be those that are not going to want to be here for that decide to opt out in their soul contracts, some form or another. That's not for us to worry about. It's for us to accept and continue to live our lives in joy. You know who's not in joy right now? Chase Bank in Ohio. And I actually forgot to bring that up because my buddy sent me some very interesting information about this Chase Bank that exploded in Youngstown, Ohio. Let me see if I can find his message while I'm here talking to you beautiful friends. Oh, where to go? There he is. See if I go back a little bit. Did you also see why I'm looking this up? The Devil Comet is about to make the closest approach to Earth. Didn't we talk about the Devil's Comet back during the eclipse? Now they're saying it's making its closest approach to Earth. It's not going to hit the Earth. Nothing to worry about there, but I just thought that was really interesting. The third person in the U.S. tested positive for the bird flu. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is what my buddy said. Youngstown, Ohio, suspected gas explosion at a Chase Bank and Realty building. 2 years ago, someone left this comment online. The bank is closed. The ATM has been removed. The doors are locked and the lights are off. So that was a comment 2 years ago on that same Chase Bank location's website. So what's that all about? That was on Google Maps, by the way. The 13th floor of the Realty Towers is where this building is, has a Chase branch on the first floor and apartments and condominiums on the upper floors. But 13 floors, friends, there's that magical number 13. In June of 2018, the building was sold to a company called Yo Properties 47 LLC. 47, of course, breaks down to that 11, friends. So I feel like there's something very shady and nefarious of what happened at Chase Manhattan Bank. And it wasn't just a accidental gas leak or whatever. There's something about it, and I can't put my finger on it. But Spirit says expect to see similar things with banks in the future. Banks going boom. Let me move on to some predictions so I can get this uploaded for you and leave you with this. There was a couple other subjects I wanted to talk about, but I really want to try to keep this short as possible today. So other predictions, I see many closed beaches coming this season. I see problems off the coast of Brazil causing beach closures, more in both California, Florida, and even Long Island, New York, New Jersey, or both. I see problems not far from Sydney, Australia, the coast, not far from Sydney, in the beach area. I see a big problem there. And I even see problems with a beach in the Caribbean disrupting tourist plans. Kind of like being like, if you're traveling to St. Martin, you want to go to the beach, then you're not going to want to go to St. Martin. Not that it's St. Martin, by the way. It's just the only one that popped in my brain. So it's going to mess up tourist plans. I don't know what's going on there. This could be related to another prediction that I'm going to get to in a moment. So these closures are going to be for a multitude of different causes and issues. One concern is going to be Ebola from sewage waste washing ashore, while others are going to be connected to dangerous algae buildup and beaches around Europe as well. We just heard of a shark attack here in California. Well, over there in California. I'm not in California, but I'm next door. And Spirit says beware of sharks in 2024 and 2025. Interesting. Attacks are going to become way too common, causing some beaches to post signs and even closing beaches in some places in some countries due to the amount of sharks. One of the beach closures in my previous prediction that I just shared with you will be from sharks. Again, closing down a beach from sharks. Sudden, unusual, shark-infested waters is what Spirit said. Sudden, unusual, infested waters. In one country, there will be a push to take out the sharks from the air, from, I guess, helicopter or something. Helicopter, which is going to stir up a lot of protests from animal lovers and environmentalists. So that's not going to work very well. They're still going to do it, probably. I see several major issues with sharks attempting to overturn boats. In several cases, with smaller boats, the sharks will be successful. Especially if Australia just popped in my mind again. So I remember very clearly, as if it were yesterday, and I believe I still have the front page newspaper article from a horrific space shuttle explosion that happened back in the late 1980s. Remember, they made jokes about it because there were seven astronauts aboard. And the joke was, what does NASA stand for? Need another 7 astronauts? Yeah, it was awful. There was a school teacher. It was the first school teacher to, well, it was supposed to be the first school teacher to go into space, but she didn't make it past the cloud line. So just the other day, I had a vision, a random vision, that gave me a flashback to that, space shuttle incident that happened in the 1980s. So in turn, I'm going to have to predict that we're going to witness a similar event of a space shuttle bursting into flames soon after launch. I would also have to believe that there will be astronauts aboard, of course, if it's reminding me what happened in the 80s. So what I cannot say or determine is if this is United States, NASA, or if it's perhaps another country like India, Russia, or China. Speaking of space and space cases, get away, bug. I see a vision of the space station up above. If it's really up above, though. Is it really up above? So the space station, and it was really interesting the way Spirit showed me this vision because I saw the space station covered up like an art painting, right? But I knew I could see the ends of it sticking out. And then it was like the veil was lifted up, and I saw the word truth written across the side of the space station. I would obviously take this as Spirit telling us we will soon learn truth either about the space station. See, this is what confused me. It's either about or something shocking, some type of shocking truth. I'd imagine that comes from the space station, right? Like something that they see or something that somebody catches. Somebody's watching the footage and they catch it. That's more likely the case. So maybe something about the moon truths accidentally leaked out. Spirit reminds us that we were told in the past that artificial intelligence will not only trick the masses, but a case like this with leaked information, they're going to use fake IA as fake artificial intelligence as an excuse To say, oh, that's not real, it's artificial intelligence, to make you not believe it's real when it's real. So, what you should know, whatever the government tells you, it's the opposite of the truth. Everything's a lie and manipulation when it comes to that. We just got to be aware, friends. Be aware, and care. So I feel like there is a big, rather huge leak coming out that has something to do with both the moon, the first alleged moon landing, and shocking information about not only the moon, but past faked missions into outer space being revealed. Yeah, we know they fake a lot of that stuff. I mean, that's obvious. Not all of it, though, but some of it. So I have a vision of a UFO landing in a field, clear as day. It kind of almost reminded me of the one we just saw in Iran, but not all lit up like that, because it actually looked like it was still, it looked like dusk in my vision. It wasn't dark out, it wasn't just night, it was partially still light enough to see. I don't know where it was landing, but it was landing in a field. Felt like I was in or near a city of some sort, landing in a field, and it felt to me like it puts off, it sits there. It lands in the field. It sits there for a little bit, a few minutes, I guess, or what have you. Then, people are watching, people see it, and they're all gathering around with their cell phones, and then it puts on a little light show. It starts doing lights, something like lights with the lights, and then quickly just whoosh, takes off when, of course, military start rushing towards the scene. So as much as it appears like an alien vehicle coming in peace, there was a strong part of me that felt like it was a staged event. Just saying. So I'm not sure where. Maybe Mexico. I don't know. That was just a guess. I have a vision as if I'm there, actually. This was wild today. I had this morning. It was as if I was there. I was at an outdoor concert or some kind of music festival, enjoying myself, dancing, having a good old time, when out of nowhere, this super strong wind just whips up in this outdoor place. It wasn't a stadium. It was like an outdoor, like I said, festival or a concert of some sort. And the wind just came out of nowhere and whipped up. The sky all of a sudden got really dark, and you can see flashes of lightning in the background, rains accompanied with hail. They pour down on the people. Water gathers so quickly, causing little streams of water all over, causing people to slip or fall, some getting stepped on. I saw big things flying through the air, almost like a tornado. Big things flying through the air, parts of the stage or the equipment. So many people, of course, being in harm's way. And the worst part of this, to me, the whole thing's bad, but the worst part of this to me is I strongly felt that this was somehow purposely orchestrated and manipulated system of an attack. It was just, all I can say, it was very strange at the least. Very strange at the least. Don't know where that is. This was, and don't let that spoil your fun from going out and have a good time, friends. If you're going to an outdoor festival, just keep an eye. If the wind whips up, get to safety quickly, because it felt sudden and quick. So I have a bit, I did that already. We're down to the final. So this was on my notepad, and I'm not sure if I shared it to you or not, because sometimes I put things on my notepad, and I usually, once I share it, I take it off. I don't know if this was there, and I forgot to take it off, or I didn't share it with you. But what I saw was protests breaking out in front of gas and power companies. Both gas and power companies. Maybe even little gas stations, people protesting. Believe first in the United States, perhaps California, but I see this in other countries as well. People, again, I don't know what the gas and power companies are going to do to really piss people off, but they're doing something. Probably, again, like I said in past predictions, they're going to start cutting how much power you're allowed to use. And if you go over your efficiency zone, you have no more power for the rest of the month. It's probably related to that. Likely very related to that. I see more tornadoes hitting, and more tornadoes in places like my hometown of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I see a tornado touchdown. That was in my notes. That just randomly came to me. And I did notice something in the past where when I lived in Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia, I would pick up a lot more events with predictions happening in that area. Now that I'm on the West Coast in Arizona, I'm noticing that I'm picking up on events that are more connected to this area with certain things, like weather, for example. Not always, but I just found that was interesting. And I still am connected to Bucks County, so maybe that's why it popped in my mind. Other than that, there was, again, more I wanted to share with you, but I got to get this uploaded and edited for you beautiful friends. I'll be back later this week. Hopefully, I'll have my Edgar Casey predictions done by then. You're not going to want to miss that. I want to thank you for hanging out with me on this Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time Predictions Update. I hope you enjoyed today's content. If you did, a reminder to smash that thumbs up button, please. Thank you for the love, support, and contributions that have come through. I couldn't do it without you. I am so very, very, very grateful. And I love you all so, so much. Other than that, my beautiful friends, I am leaving you with that for today. Remember to celebrate life, celebrate you, be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. And remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine, baby. Shine, Jesus, shine. Have a beautiful rest of your day, friends. Beautiful rest of your day. Don't go. Namaste. And much love.